In the final moments of He's Just Not That Into You, Gigi, played by Ginnifer Goodwin, sits across from Alex, played by Justin Long. She delivers a quiet monologue that isn't about love's triumph, but about its fundamental, terrifying uncertainty, a sentiment that lingers long after the credits roll, defining the film's uneasy resonance. Directed by Ken Kwapis and released in 2009, the film arrived at a cultural precipice. Smartphones were nascent, social media was in its adolescence, and the rulebook for modern romance was being hastily rewritten. Based on the self-help book by Greg Behrendt and Liz Toquillo, the adaptation faced a significant challenge: how to translate blunt advice into cinematic narrative without becoming a sterile lecture. Kwapis, known for his work on The Office, brought a documentary-like intimacy to the project. He encouraged improvisation within scenes, particularly for the large ensemble cast, to capture the awkward, halting rhythms of real conversation. This approach is felt in the overlapping dialogue in crowded bars and the strained silence of one-on-one conversations, where what isn't said hangs heavier than the words. The film's structure is its first masterstroke. It presents not a single love story, but a web of them, interconnected through friendship, family, and chance encounters in Baltimore. This mosaic reflects the book's central premise, that dating rules are universal, while simultaneously demonstrating their chaotic individual application. We move from Gigi's desperate optimism to Janine and Ben's crumbling marriage, each thread a different shade of romantic disillusionment. Cinematographer John Bailey uses a palette of warm, saturated colors. Ambers in bars, soft blues in domestic spaces. That initially suggests a conventional romantic comedy, yet his camera often feels observational, not intrusive. He holds on characters' faces in moments of private doubt, letting the audience sit with their discomfort. The visual warmth becomes ironic, a glossy veneer over narratives fraught with anxiety. Consider the theme of interpretation. Gigi's entire arc is built on misreading signals. A missed call, a casual remark. The film argues that in the absence of clear communication, we become authors of fictions, projecting our hopes onto ambiguous behaviors. This is mirrored in Mary's storyline, where she constructs a fantasy relationship within the void of a digital inbox. A prescient look at the loneliness of early online connection. Neil and Beth's conflict embodies the tension between commitment and autonomy. Beth desires marriage as validation. Neil sees it as an unnecessary institution. Their resolution isn't a grand gesture, but a quiet, mutual understanding. Neil proposes not because he changed his mind, but because he reevaluated what the symbol meant to her. It's a nuanced take on compromise that avoids fairy tale simplicity. The production leaned into authenticity. Scenes were often shot in actual Baltimore apartments and crowded local bars, the sound design layering in the authentic murmur of a real city. This grounds the heightened emotional stakes in a tangible world, making the characters' anxieties feel less like plot devices and more like excerpts from life. Ben and Janine's marriage acts as the cautionary counterpoint to the singles' quests. Their conflict isn't about finding love, but about the erosion of it through neglect and deceit. The film doesn't villainize Ben's infidelity with Anna. Instead, it portrays it as a symptom of a deeper disconnect, asking whether the security of a relationship is worth its potential emptiness. Alex, the film's nominal voice of reason, undergoes the most subtle deconstruction. He dispenses cynical, seemingly rational advice from a place of emotional detachment. His eventual connection with Gigi isn't a reward for her persistence, but his own failure to live by his detached rules. His breakdown, I may be the exception, is the film's thesis. No rule, however logical, governs the human heart. The soundtrack, featuring artists like the Weepies and Ingrid Michaelson, avoids grandiose, romantic swells. Instead, it opts for melancholic indie folk textures that underscore loneliness and tentative hope. Music often enters diegetically, from a car radio or a bar's speakers, further tying emotion to the film's realistic environment. At its core, the film is about the search for a narrative. Each character is trying to force their messy feelings into a recognizable story. The fairy tale, the marriage plot, the casual fling. The film's insight is that life resists these clean arcs. Happiness is found not in achieving the perfect story, but in accepting the flawed, unpredictable one you're actually in. The much debated ending, with its series of couple-centric vignettes, is often criticized as a betrayal of the film's cynical premise. But look closer. Each resolution is qualified. Gigi and Alex are together, but the film began with her misreading him. Neil and Beth marry, but after a fundamental ideological shift. Connor and Anna's relationship starts with a lie. The happiness is real, but it's fragile, earned, and specific. Not a universal guarantee. 15 years later, in an era of curated dating profiles and algorithmic matchmaking, the film's anxiety feels amplified, not dated. The central question, how do we know what another person truly means, has only grown more complex. The film endures not for its answers, but for its compassionate articulation of the question. He's Just Not That Into You succeeds because it dares to sit in the uncomfortable space between romantic idealism and cynical despair. It offers no easy rules, only the difficult, ongoing work of communication and self-honesty. In the end, Gigi's final smile isn't one of victory, but of hard-won clarity. She is not sure of the future with Alex, but she is sure of herself. And in the ambiguous landscape of modern love, that might be the only truth that matters. Thank you for watching until the end. We pour our passion into every single video essay, exploring the stories behind the movies we all love. If you stumbled upon this video by chance, there is a very high probability you might never see our channel again in your feed. So please take a moment to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and ring the bell. We are actively growing this community of cinema lovers, and your support is what helps us make our content better and more insightful every single day. Let's explore the magic of filmmaking together. See you in the next one.